allow life to be perfect. So I'm just going to say that life is perfect. The natural world is perfect. It balances itself out. It's always seeking balance, just like your body. It's always looking for balance. And it achieves it one way or another. Karma is perfect, flawless in the way that it is. So your, I guess, desire to control life in a way, or too much anyway, kind of like gets in the way of life being able to really bless you. Because when you allow it to happen, you'd be surprised at how amazing life is. You know, not even, I was gonna say like how amazing life can be, but how amazing life is. When you really start to look at it in a way, or from the perspective of you know, knowing how it functions, it's really, really amazing. And there's like a balance with it, just like anything else. You know, nothing is, no like group of words or phrase can be definitive. It all has to make sense within whatever context it's being spoken. So nothing's definitive at all. So in the same regard as like saying allow life to be perfect is another way of saying surrender to life, or surrender to the divine will, or all that kind of anything like that. It's kind of like the same thing. But life itself has this quality of taking care of itself, and you're included in that. Your mind and your body are all part of that flow. At the same time, you know, you have to meet that with your own choosing and your own decision making, right? It even takes a choice inside, or a shift inside, or a mental movement inside to even start to perceive life in that way, right? So it's a mutual meeting of kind of two forces, you know. But it's really all, to say that isn't even accurate either, because, you know, the force of life itself is the force that's in you also. So surrendering to that force of life itself, you're really surrendering to your own self and your own truth. That's why it works, and that's why when you do that, you feel and experience so many blessings will come in your life. Just because you've simply aligned with life in a way, and I've talked about this many times, but your focus is so important. Like what you focus on determines your reality. It determines what kind of experiences you have. So if you focus on divinity, if you focus on enjoying life as it is right now, without trying to like adjust it in all these ways to make it good. And again, you meet it in the middle. So you do stuff, you know, you can't exist without making choices and without doing anything. It's impossible. You don't just like sit back and life just carries you around. You have to walk around, you have to eat, you know, you have to make however many, 1,000 choices a day, you know. So there's no such thing as like just allowing the divine to completely take over your life necessarily. You can allow the divinity inside you to take over your life and start being the force that makes the choices, and the force that inspires you to do anything or say anything or anything at all. So again, it's almost like a contradictory thing, but it starts to make sense with the concept of oneness, with the knowledge of oneness, or the experience of unity consciousness. It makes sense because there's no separation between surrendering to a divine will and honoring your own truth, because they're the same, right? The force of life itself is the same force that drives you inside in a pure sense. In a pure sense. In an impure sense, it's your mind. It's the animal mind. It's the kind of like the egoic mind, or the mind that's always looking for personal gain, to try and extract out of life all the pleasures that it can, and try to push away all the unpleasant things that it can. You know, this is when we're out of alignment with life, when we live kind of in that way. And maybe it's not even out of alignment. Maybe that's necessary for you to go through for a time, but it's not really that enjoyable. That roller coaster of emotions and feelings, and allowing your life experiences to determine your mood and all that kind of stuff. But this is like a big step in allowing life to be perfect. First acknowledging that life is perfect, and life completely, again, the natural world completely takes care of itself. And then on top of that, there's a divine will behind everything that happens. So there's no need to construct or resist life in any way. When things happen, you know, follow your intuitive inspiration from the deepest center of your being, and you'll be guided in a beautiful way. And I'm just testifying at how incredibly miraculous the blessings that come through and show up for you, you know. And part of this too is even like really taking a position of honoring and respecting the animal too. Like it's almost ironic how all this stuff works. You know, the more you connect with spirit, you end up like seeking to provide for the body in a better way, to make better health decisions and things like that, even mentally. You start to honor your emotional states more with an acceptance for them, as opposed to like you know, resisting them in any way. For example, if you experience an emotion that's undesirable or unpleasant, like anger or something, or depression, keeping some space between you and the emotion, at the same time, you're able to, when you do that, you're really able to honor it and respect it more, and allow it to come up, you know, for whatever reason it showed up, and it's there to, you know, if it's a negative thing, it needs love. You know, if it's an unpleasant thing, it needs love. Love's like the medicine for everything. Love and knowledge and truth. So it's interesting how this stuff works. You know, it all works off of each other. There's really no duality at all. Even in a practical and logical sense, there's really no way to even describe duality, because you can't. Because it's just simply not there. When you start to understand, or, you know, even if you describe a tree, you know, you have to describe so many things that are not the tree to describe the tree. You know, there's ground involved, there's air and sun and all this other stuff. Everything is linked together. So even in a very dry and grounded logical sense, duality doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. So where are we going? Aligning yourself with life itself, and that life inside of you, not just life outside and like things that happen around you or to you, but the life force that's inside of yourself. Surrender to that, open up to that, allow that to govern your reality, as opposed to the mind. You know, and what does that mean too? It means allow quiet. Allow there to be silence in your life. Allow there to be silence in your mind. Focus on the silence in your mind. You know, it's so easy to focus on the things that move, and all the expressions that your mind makes, all the thoughts that your mind has, all the dreams and images it provides and produces. It's easy to focus on that stuff because it's moving, it's dynamic, it's all over the place. But to focus on the silence, something really special happens. So allow life to be perfect and just see what happens. All this stuff, just see what happens. Just try it, just watch, explore it, have fun with it. I don't think that, life needs to, we diligently practice and diligently do work, but joyfully at the same time. You can have a lot of fun with a spiritual practice. You can have a blast every day, enjoying life as it comes and as it moves around and changes and shifts, exploring where it comes from and exploring how you influence life in conjunction with the divine, which again, there's no separation. There's that divine presence inside. You align with that. The mind in you aligns with that and gets on board with the whole project of awakening, and then all forces are harmonized, and then beauty just radiates through everything. It's really, really amazing. Namaste, everybody. Peace.